welcome to the Now and Beyond. In tonight's episode, we will be looking at how the pandemic has affected the one that is responsible for where you live or even where you work. We'll also go to the other side of the classroom and get the perspective of the teacher. I am your host, Basetsana Moiloa.
Right now in me, right now in me.
Now, I'm pretty sure that you have noticed that I decided to change up the space a bit with a new chair. Do you like? Speaking of changing spaces, my guest tonight is an architect and a lecturer. Please welcome to the show, BUHLE MATHOLE.
Good day, Basi. Thank you for having me. And just to talk about my thoughts in times of this pandemic and what I do. My name is BUHLE MATHOLE. I'm an architect. I practice and I also teach at the moment, teaching more and also a student and studying as well at this time.
Thank you for taking the time, BUHLE. I know you are a very busy woman, so let's just jump right in. As a wife and a mother, since it started, how has the lockdown affected these areas of your life?
I think this pandemic as a mother, a wife as well, has meant a lot of things. It has readjusted our thinking, it has readjusted the way we do things, and the way we really live. And I think as a mother and a wife in the first stages of lockdown, level 5, it was rather interesting or uncomfortable. The word I've been thinking about at this moment is I can't breathe. The symptoms of COVID are shortness of breath, and we've had the protests that has happened with George Floyd, and the slogan has been I can't breathe. And being locked in your own space, you also feel like I can't breathe. And for me, I was thinking about it and I thought how interesting, just those words, I can't breathe. People have felt stuffed with the gender-based violence. People have had nowhere to go but being stuck with abusive partners and just feeling like they can't breathe. And I think it's been a phenomenal time, but also there's been a lot of positive things that have come out of this time. And I think, just from a family perspective, time to bond with my kids, I've realized, I spend almost 50% of my time traveling, going up and down, going to see clients, going to see students, going to do this. And this time I've just been in one space. It's just a matter of just logging onto a Zoom meeting or, defining a particular schedule. But the time to bond, the time to understand other people in your family, understand their thoughts, how they think, why do they do things that they do? Sometimes we live with each other, but we live past each other. And I think I've appreciated that time to just spend time with the people that I love. Spend time calling people that are important to me, but I just never had the time to do so. So this has been a great time in terms of bonding and just fostering stronger relationships. And I think spiritually as well, it's been a time of great reflection, time of prayer, time of solitude. And I think as a Christian personally, lots of time we define the activities and the hustle and the bustle and the things that we do as being spiritual, but we just don't spend the time knowing who God is for ourselves. And I think this has been a really awesome time in terms of just solitude and knowing who you are.
Oh, very interesting how you linked the I can't breathe slogan from George Floyd to being stuck in your house, in your own space, and not being able to move. It is quite restrictive, like you can't breathe. And also the fact that you do get time to bond with your family and realize some things about them that you wouldn't have before because you didn't have time. Now, BUHLE, you are an architect. Hey! How has the lockdown affected your industry and how you work?
As an architect, I think this time has really helped us. On a small scale, I don't practice on a big scale, and I'm not doing as much practice at the moment, but it's been a time when people look at their space and they say, wow, my house is really tiny, what can I do? My space is really crushed. I've had this project, I've had this site I really want to build. So I think it's been a good time, because now we spend more time at home than in any other time. In my own space as well, I've had to really reconfigure an office at home. My husband needed his own space. The kids needed a schooling environment. They needed a space to play. We've had to adapt. How can the playroom be this? Can it not be that? So it's really been a great time of opportunity. And the words that I use are being resilient and agile. So being able to change and adapt to the moving situations, but at the same time being resilient to say, look, I'm doing this. I'm not quite sure what's happening in the next 2 weeks, but I'm going to do it.
You are absolutely right, because now you take note of your space. The fact that you have to divide it into so many different spaces to suit your day, you end up thinking, you know what, at the end of lockdown, I might need an architect to help me. So it's an absolutely great opportunity for you. You are also a lecturer. In episode 2 of the Now and Beyond, I got the opportunity to get the perspective of the student. Now, as a lecturer, how have you been able to adjust to the new normal of teaching from a distance, or online rather?
And I think as a lecturer, in terms of my students, one of the things we tried to do was to try and stick the timetable the way it was. In your episode 2, you said you looked at the life of the student, their fears, their anxiety, and whatever they had. So we tried to say, okay, look, let's try and say we're walking along at the same timetable that you've had. We're keeping the routine. It's been good, but as time went on, we also realized, look, actually we're not on campus, we're not live. So certain things don't work the same way. Some people have Wi-Fi issues and the network works better at night. Then the hand-ins, so there have had to be adjustments as well. But we've had to start first with what was comfortable in working towards what was not and what was in terms of the current situation. Even in terms of my own kids, organizing them at home, their routine, when is the study time, when can they watch TV? Well, look, then really at home, they're doing their work in their pajamas, so it means their bedtime maybe can be extended. But when can they go outside and actually just get some sunshine and play? So, it's been a bit of growing into it, I think, but it's really certainly been exciting.
I think that actually was a good way to start out, with them in a comfortable space, what they know, and then moving slowly into adjusting to the new normal. Nice one. With the headlines reading, "The worst is yet to come," BUHLE, what do you think the government can do in order for us to be prepared for the worst?
We've heard the words now, the worst is yet to come. That's what our medical experts are telling us. And what can the government do? I'm of a different opinion, that I think we rely so much on the government, and people are selfish and people don't want to do their part. And I think it's on the contrary, what can we do? What can I do as BUHLE to make things better? One of the things is people don't wear masks, they go shopping. People are exhausted of lockdown, certainly, which is fine, but then it doesn't mean reckless. I've got peers and people who go and exercise in groups because they're tired, they're sick and tired of lockdown. So there's things that we have to do. We have to practice social distancing. We have to do our part. We have to wear our masks. We have to monitor how many times we do what we can, publicly, and what we can do at home. And since level 3, with the industry being open, people are just like, let's go wild. But I don't think that's the attitude. The attitude is responsibly, what can you do at home and what can you do, that you can't do that really necessitates you going on site, going to see your clients, going to do site visits, going to see the students. Well, campus, we gradually opening, but it hasn't really opened. So what can you do at home and what can you do with other people? So the responsibility, the onus is on us. We just need to stop the mentality of the government. I just personally don't believe in that so much. We are responsible. We need to take responsibility for our own lives. So we need to sanitize. We need to make sure that the spaces that we live in are clean. I mean, even simple things like washing. People are not really showering because they say, well, I'm at home. I can be in my pajamas all day. And then you go out there and go shopping in your slippers. It's just habits that are just pathetic, and the government is not going to do anything for you. You need to change your attitude and have a better attitude, and be responsible for the next person next to you.
Yes, thank you for that, because the government can only take us so far. It's like, as the saying goes, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. It's up to us to drink the water, which is adhere to the rules to ensure that this virus does not spread. BUHLE, what are your thoughts on the second pandemic, the femicide, that has reached just new levels in South Africa? Do you think there is a way to stop it?
And in summary, what has really broken my heart before it was really the femicide, the gender-based violence. It's happening. It's happening to people I know. It's happening next door. It's happening. It's real. And I think for me, it's always been something that I've known about. I've tried to address it. I mean, on our campus, we had a very tragic situation last year, which was big. But I think it really starts with the heart once again. And we're always looking for the solutions in this elusive cloud. But I think it's important for us to do the change. And we've got the brothers, we've got the sisters. I'm raising boys. And I think it's the attitude of saying, what can we do in our home situations? Do we report the crimes? I know a few women who are being abused and who are vouching, and they're saying they'll never speak up because, what's going to happen? Because then they're going to be made mock of if once they speak out. That guy who has power, who has money, who has... and I think it starts with us women as well, taking responsibility. It's very hard to be in those relationships. I don't think it's an easy answer. I've had a very strong father figure. Some of the things my friends share with me, I just have no idea what they're talking about because I've been raised in an amazing home. And I have one of those dads who really is a superhero, and I can say he wears a coat. I mean, I always tell my sons, when I had a car for the first time and I moved to Joburg, my parents were in the Vaal, I had a breakdown on the N1. My dad drove all the way from the Vaal, and I waited for him because at that time I didn't have an AA or anything like that. But it was he's that type of man that I know that he'll do anything for me. So I think that the change really has to change in our attitudes as women. I think also self-respect goes a long way. And I say it sympathetically to all women that if you know that you're in an abusive relationship, in an abusive situation, I think out of your own self-respect, you need to walk away faster. And I think that the challenge that we have in our society is that men tend to be providers. They tend to provide the shelter. They tend to provide a lot of things. And women who stay in those relationships usually are women who have no other alternatives. But I believe that we need men in our society. We have good men out there. Our men do try. They go all out, but a march is not going to sort out everything. We really just need to have those discussions that are uncomfortable, and women need to speak out a lot more. The more we become silent, the more we don't train our partners, the more we just to say, this is normal, or he beats you today and tomorrow he says, I'm sorry honey, I made a mistake, and you say, okay fine, I forgive him. but you don't do anything about that behavior, what triggered him. And also remember, men are also sons, and they've been raised in particular families, and some of these things are hereditary and they come very long way, and it's not something that we can solve in one day. But one of the things that in conclusion, that I just believe in is that in our society we need men. And one of the reasons we have boys who are abusive, we have boys who've been raised without men in their figures as fathers. And they've never seen how things get modeled. They've never, most of our families in South Africa are single-headed families. And so boys don't have that man figure. And I see it with raising boys. We as mothers are more empathetic. They still need their father to talk to them in a particular way, and he becomes a role model in a particular way. No matter how much money I make, no matter how many clothes I can buy them, I can never fill in the gap of a father. And I think it's very important, even for selfish women who think, well, I'm my own boss, I'm gonna make my own money, I'm gonna raise my own kids. There's something you're gonna get missing there. And that's why we get men who have things that are missing in their DNA, in their making, and then they start acting up in society in different ways.
Buhle, what really messes me up is what you touched on, the fact that most women who are being abused physically and or emotionally are afraid to speak up because of what somebody might say, or that they don't have an alternative. Where will they live? Where will they get money? But women, if you are being abused in any way, shape or form, speak up. I urge you to speak up, because when you do, you will get the help that you need. And you also touched on something very important. How we raise our children is how they will act, how they will behave on the outside. So let's be our children's superheroes so that they grow up to be their children's superheroes. In closing, Buhle, what advice do you have for architects, lecturers and students out there in order for them to cope with the new normal?
So in conclusion, I think for architects, we've got a great future. I think with every challenge, there's an opportunity. I certainly believe that. I know I'm an optimist, but I do believe that this pandemic has brought in so much opportunity for us. There's different ways in which we can reimagine space. We can think of space differently. People are going to be working in different ways. Recently, I've just been drafting and sketching some of the ideas in how an office which has social distancing with different activities, how it could be done. Hybrid environments where we can have a school in the morning, have a church in the afternoon, have different social gatherings in the evenings. So I think for architects, it's so exciting. There's more that is coming. And I think for students on campus, I do hope and I do believe that we will be able to go on campus. Maybe not every day as before on certain days, but this storm shall pass. And I think we have to hang in there and do the best we can with what we have. We must be helping the government and not always be looking for government for solutions, and do our part and stay home and stay safe.
Thank you so much for joining me, Buhle. Do not change your optimistic attitude. It is awesome. Folks, if you need an excellent architect, I will be leaving Buhle's website in the description or caption below.
Thank you for having me, Basi. It was a real honor. I just want to say to your listeners out there that especially with social media platforms, we always look and say, you know what, she's chosen people who've got it together or who can make it. My situation is dire. But I really just want to encourage you and say that your situation is unique. It presents opportunities, and take them with a stride. Be resilient. Take it one step at a time. Don't overthink it, and have an awesome week.
Well, that is it from me. Our socials, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are on your screen right now. All you have to do is follow, like, and subscribe. I am Basetsana Moiloa, and this was the Now and Beyond. Bye.